Nari, thank you so much for joining us. If you could first of all just introduce yourself and your role, that would be great.
Great, yeah. So my name is Nari Viswanathan. I am leading the product marketing activities for supply chain and direct spend for Coupa.
Just dive into that a little bit more for me if you can. What does that, on a typical day, what does that involve for you?
Yeah, essentially what we are trying to do is really look at the total spend for companies in terms of how much they are spending for their procurement and supply chain, and really tie it to financial metrics. So my role essentially is to convey the value of our solutions for those companies that are manufacturing companies, those retailers which have physical supply chains. We sell to both companies which have physical supply chains or companies like banks and insurance and so on. So I really focus on that piece of like 60% of our customers who really have a physical supply chain.
Now, of course, we're here at Coupa Inspire 2025. What have you made of the event so far? We're sort of well into day 2 of really the event proper.
Yeah.
How's it been so far? What's been exciting you about the event so far?
Yeah, so I have been at Coupa for nearly 4 years now, and this is my 3rd Inspire. Every year we are focusing more and more on the areas of supply chain, areas of physical manufacturing operations, and I think this year is like the pinnacle. So I'm seeing lots of conversations around it. The keynote from Lee and Salva touched upon the supply chain disruptions. Again, we are in an environment where there's a lot of uncertainty and challenges that we are facing. So I would say this is like the kind of the perfect storm.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Working on that supply chain side, to what extent these days is Coupa kind of involved on the sustainability side of things? Of course, there seems to be a natural progression, and of course supply chains and sustainability are aligned. So to what extent does sustainability play into Coupa's activities?
Yeah, I think sustainability is still something which is in the picture. Many companies have a very long-term focus towards trying to improve sustainability. The area where I specifically work on is associated with modeling your supply chains and identifying how much of carbon emissions do they have. Companies still want to do it. It's just the focus on whether they want to minimize carbon emissions or not. Are they willing to make sacrifice to reduce their carbon emissions or not? I would say no at this point. The focus has shifted more towards growth and try to save costs. That's the bigger focus right now. But sustainability is still there, but it's more in the background.
Do you think that, just following on from that, do you think then achieving sustainability objectives and cutting costs, can they be aligned? Is it how challenging is it to align those two different objectives?
Yeah, so many of our customers exactly are thinking about that same question, and that's where the concept of AI and optimization comes in, wherein you are able to make trade-off across two very I would say distinct objectives. Like when you're trying to reduce your cost, you may think that, hey, I cannot reduce my carbon emissions as well. That's where some of the capabilities that Coupa provides comes to the picture, wherein we are able to help companies achieve a trade-off or balance between those two very distinctive things.
And just, I know we've already kind of mentioned it already, this kind of era of disruption that we are in the thick of at the moment. So why can companies kind of rely on Coupa to kind of assist them through this really difficult period?
Yeah, I think it comes down to multiple factors. One is more long-term thinking. We have been actually telling our customers that you need to think about a China plus one strategy. You need to expand your manufacturing to other countries, Vietnam, Cambodia, India, and so on. That's something that we have been helping our customers. And also in the here and now, in terms of what they are trying to do today. We actually heard an example of a customer which saw that they were receiving like a huge amount of duties, and they instantly identified another supplier through the network. That's where the power of the network comes in, wherein you have a community of people that you can rely on and you can go to in these kinds of needs.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned network and community, which brings me on really nicely back to the event itself. Why is it so important to hold events like this, where the finest minds in procurement, supply chain, and technology and finance come together under one roof?
Yeah, I think the from my perspective, it's a very humbling experience, because when you're in your day-to-day activity, you think that you have understood or know everything, but really it's an opportunity for you to learn from others and ensure that you listen. I think it's more about listening and really seeing what challenges our customers have and try to really collate it or summarize it so that our product teams can understand, our people who may not have the opportunity to come to events like this, they will understand so that we can serve the customer better. That's really the goal.
Fantastic. And just finally, we're in approaching the kind of the halfway point of the year. What's really exciting you about what's going on at Coupa for the remainder of 2025?
Yeah, so hopefully the tariff situation gets better. I know that's something which is playing on the minds of everyone. Assuming that there are no further surprises on that end, what I'm really excited about is agents, AI and agentic AI. We hear a lot about it, but putting it in practice, seeing it in reality, that seems very exciting to me. Hopefully we achieve it by the end of the year.